I can guarantee most of you are going to hate this list. But you know what? This is just my opinion, and I got to be honest, because if I'm not honest with my opinion, then what's the point of being here? Anyways, so Dial of Destiny, fifth Indiana Jones film. Let's rank them. Here we go. At number 5 is Dial of Destiny, guys. I wanted to love this movie. I really, really wanted to love this movie. We had James Mangold coming in as the director, Harrison Ford coming back for his last time, and for the most part, I just kind of felt this movie was very generic. There wasn't much in this movie that entertained me for that long. I had spurts of entertainment throughout the movie. There were a couple of action sequences that were fun, but a lot of the action in this movie, it just lost that gritty feeling, that exhilaration. It was all, you could tell it was mostly fake. It was all CGI. Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford is 80 years old. You can forgive them for doing that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it took away some of the excitement in the action sequences for me. Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford's chemistry in this movie I thought was fine, but the characters' interplay I didn't have that much fun with. And the globe-trotting adventure this time around, I didn't find all that exciting. I didn't think it was worthy of the bloated runtime that this movie had. This movie was way too long. Harrison Ford does give a great performance as Indiana Jones, a more broken down, sadder Indiana Jones. He gets a lot more dramatic meat to play with in this, to chew on in this movie. But I didn't like seeing Indy in the place where they put him. I understand why they put him there for the story's sake. I just wasn't a huge fan of it myself. And for the most part, I don't see myself really ever rewatching this film. I didn't have that much fun with it. The third act really soiled the rest of the movie for me. It was a big letdown. I personally don't think it worked for me. So for that reason, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is coming in at number 5. All right, guys. Keep the pitchforks away. Keep them down. Keep your pitchforks down, okay? Don't hate me. Number 4 is Temple of Doom. Now, I know. A lot of you guys love this movie, and I'm not crapping on this movie. I do enjoy this movie. I feel like the way they get to the temple is a little clunky at times, but once they get to the temple, there is a lot of fun in this movie. The action set pieces are great. Willie is really annoying. She really brings the movie down a bunch of notches for me. A saving grace of me for this movie is Short Round and Indy's relationship. I really love their interplay. I think it's great. I wish we had gotten to see more of Indy and Short Round in more installments. And while I do enjoy it when they get to the temple, there's definitely some darker elements to this movie than other Indiana Jones films. And while some of them I enjoy seeing, some of them don't really work for me. And a lot of it is to do with preference. I don't really like the child slavery stuff that goes on in the temple. It's just not that much fun for me to kind of view. And the voodoo and evil Indiana Jones, it doesn't always work for me. It's got a really fun finale. It's got fun in the middle section. I do enjoy watching this movie. I just don't love it as much as everyone else or a lot of people out there seem to love it. All right, guys. Okay, coming in at number 3. Guys. Don't hate me. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, guys, okay? I like the movie. Don't judge me. Or judge me. I don't care. I like the movie. I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull more than I like Dial of Destiny and Temple of Doom, which I know really annoys a lot of you. I've found that out the past couple days. But you know what? I really do think that this movie is overly hated. And I'm not going to act like this being the first Indiana Jones film I ever saw doesn't affect this choice, because it definitely does. But I think the first 2 acts of this film are actually pretty decent. I like the warehouse chase at the beginning with the Russians. I think that's a lot of fun. I think the motorcycle chase scene on the university campus with Mutt and Indiana Jones is a lot of fun. I like Mutt. I like Shia LaBeouf as Indy's child. I like the interplay. I like their relationship throughout the movie. The third act, much like Dial of Destiny for me, does kind of soil the movie a little bit, but I feel like the third act of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull works better for me than the third act of Dial of Destiny, and I think this movie has actually aged better for me after watching Dial of Destiny, because the action sequences, there are still a lot of practical stuff being done with these action sequences. They are in real locations. There's real stuff being done. I don't think that this is a movie that I love. It's got issues, but honestly, I find less issues with this film than I do with the previous other two. And I think they did the Indy aging as an adventurer better than they did in Dial of Destiny. And it gives Indy a nice ending. It gives Indy that marriage to Marion. I like their wedding. I like all that stuff. I like the happy ending for this character. I'm not a big fan of the aliens. I can admit that. The nuke in the fridge, I think that's kind of goofy fun. I understand why people don't like it very much, but I think it's just a moment where it's kind of like the raft from dropping from the airplane in Temple of Doom for me. I just have fun with it. And yeah, Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees with monkeys is incredibly stupid, but it's just a moment in time. And I like the fight with Indy and the big Russian, and then he gets punched down and eaten by all the ants. You don't really get moments like that in Dial of Destiny. I don't want to compare this to Dial of Destiny. It's very hard to do, but I honestly thought that this was a better conclusion to the saga than Dial of Destiny. That's just me. That's just me, guys. All right, guys, we'll move on. Stay away from that unsubscribe button. You stay away. Stay with me now. We're going to move on to some good stuff here, okay? Now, at number 2, I've got Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, Raiders of the Lost Ark is honestly a movie I really don't have any complaints about, really. The opening sequence of this movie, phenomenal. The going towards the idol, the rolling boulder, the introduction to Indy, it's all perfection. Seeing him in the university as this professor, you really get a sense of who this character is. When we get into the second act of the film in Cairo, I do enjoy a lot of stuff that happens there with Indy and Marion. When he shoots the guy with the sword, it's iconic. The Nazis being the villains in this works so well. There's just something about the movie I have at number 1 that I prefer over Raiders of the Lost Ark, even though I really don't have any complaints with Raiders of the Lost Ark. If I do, they're very little nitpicks. But number 1 for me is going to be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, what kind of puts this over Raiders for me? Because I've always struggled with Last Crusade and Raiders. Which ones do I like more? I watched both of these over the past weekend, and what I like about Last Crusade a little bit more than Raiders is I think Raiders has the better introduction, although I really do love the River Phoenix introduction in Last Crusade, the flashback, and young Indy. I think all that's great. I enjoy the second act of Crusade a little bit more than I enjoy the second act of Raiders, just because of Harrison Ford and Sean Connery's dynamic. I think they are so much fun. Sean Connery, I think, is so funny as Indy's dad, who doesn't give him any approval or any praise. The humor in Last Crusade works a lot for me. It's got the exciting Indy action, and I do think that Last Crusade has a better third act than Raiders does. When they open the arc in Raiders and Indy's just kind of tied up, I think that having Indy having to go through all these booby traps to try and get the Holy Grail and save his father, it's got stakes, it's got excitement. I think Last Crusade beats Raiders for me as my favorite Indiana Jones film because of those reasons, guys. And for that reason, it comes in at number 1. So, guys, there you have it. That is my ranking, my probably unpopular ranking of all 5 of the Indiana Jones movies. But what do you guys think? I mean, I know a lot of you guys are going to hate this list, and that's good. You should. We should have different opinions, and I want to hear yours. Comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions about this, guys. And without further ado, let's see what you guys are yelling at me about.